One of the most important building blocks to becoming a great Deadlock player is efficiency. I've coached hundreds of players from all ranks, and no matter the rank, players struggle with this concept. Efficiency is also the easiest thing to improve because it doesn't require much mechanical improvement at first, and it will absolutely make a massive difference in your gameplay. In this video, I'm going to aim to cover 4 things. What is efficiency? Why efficiency in Deadlock matters? How can you improve your efficiency? And I'm going to give you some benchmarks to give you an idea of whether you're hitting those goals or not. Now, efficiency has many definitions, from the technical to the abstract, some just talking about the efficiency of a machine. Now, in my opinion, efficiency when it comes to MOBAs means having the least amount of downtime possible, always doing something that is productive to the game. Productive in this case means that it will push the game state towards a more favorable outcome for you and your team. Sometimes the most efficient thing to do is just stand behind a wall or in a veil for 30 seconds. So it's not really about the number of actions per minute, but more so making sure that no time is being wasted doing things that are pointless or that aren't going to progress the game forward. Here's an example of efficiency. In this example, I'm playing Ivy with Infernus in my lane. Now, neither of us are heroes that can meaningfully pressure our opponents under tower very early into the game. So with that in mind, I have a few options of decisions which could be efficient. I could take their small camp, I could take our small camp, I could steal their boxes, or I could run our boxes. All of these decisions could be efficient because I'm trying to find a way to gain a lead over them, which will make the lane more favorable for us and potentially allow us to get a kill or their tower eventually. As you can see, the decision I made was to run their boxes. I do go against one key principle in this clip, which is to never miss a wave. I make the choice to keep running boxes and let my Infernus catch the wave alone. That's because I believe that the time this decision would overall generate more souls for our team, despite being less favorable for me specifically. And that's a key part of efficiency, is it's not just about you, but it's how efficient your team is on the map. Now, on the other hand, here's an example of a lack of efficiency. POV is from one of my coaching students, Drunken Axolotl. In this example, as Abrams, he also does not really have a way to pressure his opponents under tower this early into the lane. However, he doesn't do any boxes, and he does not do his small camp the moment it spawns. The biggest inefficiency of all is right here, when the wave is pushing into his tower and he makes the decision to shoot the wave. Instead, he could have let the wave push into his tower and farm his small camp while McGinnis is clearing the wave. That would have been more efficient because it would have resulted in more souls overall for his team. Now, why does efficiency matter in Deadlock? I think this is a little bit self-explanatory, but the main reason why efficiency matters in Deadlock is because the team with more souls will win the game on average. And being efficient will also lead to more souls at its core. Deadlock is a race against the clock. How many resources can your team secure in the first 10 minutes? Then, can you use the small lead you've accumulated to secure an even bigger lead? Your souls themselves don't actually matter. It is your souls relative to the clock and to the enemy that matter. Efficiency is the first pillar you need to master in Deadlock, and it's also the easiest to improve. Let me show you how to do that. The first step to improve efficiency is to shift the way that you think about the game. Too many people that I coach or see play default to just trying to find fights on the map. Instead, try to think about your options and which one will generate the best scenario for your team. For example, in this Calico replay, I wait for it around the urn for 10 to 15 seconds, waiting for it to go from a comeback urn, as you can see with the candles, to an even urn where there are no candles, telling my team not to farm so that it can become even. To some, that might be seen as doing nothing, but it is the most efficient play in this situation. In order to shift your thought process, you need to understand when and how to think about the game. My recommendation is that anytime you're hitting troopers or the jungle, think about your next move. Hitting these NPCs shouldn't require much focus, and you should instead be staring at your minimap thinking about what you'll do next. A bad decision is better than no decision at all. You'll learn with practice which decisions are better. For example, if you're unsure what to do, running boxes or farming is better than just wandering aimlessly. Once your thought process has shifted and you've become accustomed to planning your next move while farming, you'll need to have a rough system in mind for priorities. Luckily for you, I've made a template that you can use to help you with that. Keep in mind this template is not the objective, definitive truth, but rather is the culmination of my opinions that I formed over the 3,000 plus hours I've put into this game. In the first 8 minutes, there's basically 4 options for you to do. There are the troopers, there's pushing the tower or getting kills, there's doing boxes, and then there's doing the jungle, which the small camp spawns at 2 minutes, and the bigger camps spawn at 6 minutes. Like the medium camps spawn at 6 minutes, and then the big camps spawn at 8 minutes. So out of these, troopers is always the most important thing. Then towers and kills, if possible, should be your second priority. This can include ganks. So if your hero is capable of ganking, it usually is a great option to consider. And then in third place, we have the boxes. And finally, jungle. Now I put a little star because if your hero is really good at jungling the moment it spawns at 6 minutes, you may want to consider doing having a higher priority on jungle than boxes, for example, or even kills. Now this can apply to a hero like 7 that can farm the jungle camps extremely quickly. And Furnace also can. There's a few heroes basically that can just delete it very quickly, so it changes a little bit. So I would say number 3 and 4 are interchangeable, but if you can get towers and kills, if you can get troopers, these should always be kind of your highest priority because they'll generate kind of the biggest lead for your team early. Now, this doesn't mean you should look to kill your opponent, at all costs. It just means that if you have the option of killing them, if killing them is a possible play that you can try to make, it is going to be better than running boxes, for example. Now, if killing them is not possible or you don't think it's possible, running boxes is going to be better. Now, the link to this will be in the description, by the way, so you guys can, see it yourselves and kind of navigate around. So check the description for that. Now, from 8 to 15 minutes, a couple things change. First of all, troopers are pretty much always number 1 priority. You'll see this kind of like throughout the different game stages. But after the troopers, I put the urn there as the second highest priority, above even sinners. Now, of course, sinners spawn at 8 minutes. And so there's a window of time where you can do sinners where urn is not available, right? So before urn is available, playing the sinners mini game from 8 to 10 minutes and trying to contest as many sinners is usually one of the best things that you can do. You know, contesting their sinners, trying to steal them, doing yours. As a general rule of thumb, if you're winning, take theirs. If you're losing, secure yours, right? This is just very simple rule of thumb. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible so it can be digestible. Now, doing tier 3 camps is also a fantastic option right after sinners. One thing I'll say about urn, just to clarify that a little bit as well, is only do the urn if it's a good option. So the urn is a very high priority, but only if you think you can do it. So does your team have better team fight than them? Do you think your teammates are going to show up? Are you guys up on souls, or are you guys in a good position to do the urn? Do you have someone like Doorman that can make the urn really easy, etc., right? So do this at your own discretion. The urn sometimes throws games, but never trying to do the urn also throws games very often. Tier 3 camps are a very, very high priority if you can farm them. So if you're playing a hero like 7 or something, you should usually try to farm tier 3 camps as early as you can. Try to have a good understanding of how early you can farm them. And there's also an additional objective here, which are the mid boxes. Now, these are the boxes underneath the mid lane that spawn at 10 minutes specifically. These boxes are worth basically more than sinners. Okay, so really they should be kind of higher priority than sinners. Now, sinners give you some buffs, so do the mid boxes. The only reason that I put them kind of lower priority is because there's just not as many of them and they're only on one spot of the map. Now, after the mid boxes, I put tower/kills. Now, one thing to know is the remaining towers can be killed very easily. I'm talking tier 1 towers. If you're past 10 minutes and there's tier 1 towers left on the map, a lot of heroes can simply just not even need a wave and just walk to the tower and kill it within, basically 5 seconds. So don't be afraid of killing those towers. They do give a decent amount of souls. I think killing a tower is going to give you roughly 500 souls-ish. So it's technically like going to be more souls than doing a sinners early. And obviously kills are always going to be worth. Now, kills are hard to classify because some people will have unsecured souls, etc. But then after that, any other jungle camp and then boxes are kind of a bit lower priority than most jungle camps, but they're always good to do. If you don't have anything to do, if you're on the way someplace else, do boxes. It's a part of efficiency. Now let's talk about walkers a little bit for the 8 to 15 minute section. Are walkers bait? Yes and no. If you're ahead by a lot, be careful dying for walkers. Comeback was nerfed. It can still give a good amount. So like if you're ahead by like 10,000 souls, don't go feed for the walkers. Now, here's some rough math. Walkers like give your team roughly 4,000 souls. Kills at this time can vary, but just imagine a kill, let's say 15 minutes. A kill might be 1,000 to 2,000 souls. So if you lose 2 people, for example, for a walker, it might not be worth it, or it might be like right even. Of course, it gives a flex slot as well, so depending on the trade, but if they're getting comeback souls for these kills, might not be worth it. So do be a little bit careful. If the game is even, or if you're behind, Generally, losing 1 or 2 people for a walker is fine. So that's how I would approach that. Now, let's talk about 15 to 25 minutes. Once again, troopers number 1, earn number 2. Walkers are equal to earn in this situation, I would say, for the 15-minute earn. Kills, once again, are they've climbed up in priority a little bit. Now, the reason with kills here is because kills in the 15 to 25-minute mark can result in mid-boss, whereas before that, not really. So they become a bit more valuable, right? Because the death timers are entirely tied to time in-game at the moment. And it's a mechanic that I don't like. So I'm hoping in the future they'll change it or do something with it. But as the game is right now, kills, you know, gain value just based on the time, not based on the person's net worth. So keep that in mind. Kills between 15 to 25 minutes can result in mid-boss. Then it's kind of like Sinners, tier 3 camps, mid-boxes, and then, you know, the rest of the jungle, usually between 15 and 25 minutes. There's not really much jungle anyway. So boxes tend to be a little bit higher priority sometimes, and they're also worth more as they scale through the game. But so does the jungle. It's just that between 15 and 25 minutes, a lot of the time in you know, mid to high ranks, there's no jungle remaining. And then finally, for the last step of the game, 25 plus minutes. At this point, it's really just about finding one good fight into going mid-boss, right? So everything that you do should be to get a good fight. Now, in order to get a good fight, usually you kind of have to get your waves in a decent spot. But otherwise, the other things don't matter as much. So I don't want you to think too much about it 25 plus minutes into the game. Just try to find an advantageous fight that you have either numbers advantage or you've got like a great initiation or something like that. And you want to take that into mid-boss and then, you know, try to push your advantage in the game, etc. Now, I'm going to give you some benchmarks. These are by no means extremely objective, and they can be untrue on all sorts of heroes. But here are some benchmarks that I've used with people that I've coached in the past that have been helpful for them and for me. So the first thing is, by 10 minutes, you should have hit or been involved in taking 1 or 2 sinner sacrifices at minimum. Okay, so that being involved in can just be you being with your teammate and, you know, helping them out, just kind of like securing the sinners with them. Now, of course, once again, on some heroes, this might not happen. If you lost lane really bad, you might not be able to do this, but this should be your objective. By 15 minutes, if you are playing a farming hero, like, for example, Wraith or Seven or these types of heroes, you should aim to have a minimum of 18,000 souls. It might seem like a lot, but I promise you 18,000 souls at 15 minutes is very achievable in most lobbies if you're just efficient and focus on not dying too much or having good deaths and not dropping bags. And by 20 minutes, on most heroes, you should have about 20,000 trooper damage dealt at minimum. You can find this in your damage breakdown graph. So if you go in your graphs, go to damage breakdown, look at your trooper damage at 20 minutes. And if it's below 20,000, that can be okay. For example, if you're playing a hero like Paradox, Holiday, or Bebop, and you're just running around getting picks for your team, you might be having great value while only having, 12, 13, 14,000 trooper damage. But in most ranks, people don't push the waves enough, and waves give a ton of money and put a ton of pressure on the map. And so as a general rule of thumb, I think almost everyone watching this video needs to push waves more aggressively than they are right now. Now, please use these with a grain of salt. They're just something that I've used in my personal coaching, and it's not like a Bible or anything, right? So people like numbers. Here's some numbers for you. Hopefully this video helped you have a better understanding of what efficiency is and how to think about the game a little bit. And let me know what you think in the comments. There's going to be more guides coming out. I kind of wanted to wait for the big update, but I was hoping we'd have it by now. We still don't have it. So, probably going to work on a couple guides and, hopefully can put that out when the big update comes out. Thank you guys for the support. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.